Hello, Guitar Smarts fans. Before you check out this podcast, I want to make you aware of a cool new place where you can interact with other Guitar Smarts listeners. It's a Facebook group called the Guitar Geek Hangout. That's where we hang out and talk about all things guitar. So, if you like the Guitar Smarts podcast, come and chat with Kieran and myself over in the Guitar Geek Hangout on Facebook. Maybe check out some pre-podcast clips and even get involved in asking and answering lots of questions from the other page dwellers. Hope to see you there.
Who do I know that sells $3,000 guitars? And I was like, we're now talking Gibson or PRS. And so I thought, well, our mantra is all you really need for gigging is a Strat with a humbucker.
Okay. So you bought a Les Paul. Greetings, welcome to another Guitar Smarts podcast. Hope you're all well. Thank you very much for joining us. Now this week, Kieran and I have set ourselves another one of our hypothetical budget challenges where we say we've got a certain amount of money which we haven't really got, and we try and figure out how best to spend that money in a particular way. And this week we've decided it's the £5,000 guitar rig challenge. So if you're listening in another country, then maybe just go and do some calculations. Over in the US, that's probably about $7,000, something like that, maybe $6,500. Who knows what it is elsewhere? But anyway, the £5,000 guitar rig challenge, and the idea is to see what we would do, or to kind of get into the headspace of somebody who may be looking to spend a lot of money on a complete guitar rig. So that might be somebody who's just had an insurance claim for all the guitar gear that's been stolen, or it could be somebody who's maybe starting out as a professional musician after going to college, and they want to take out a business loan and buy themselves a whole load of professional gear to get them going on their journey as a professional musician, something like that. That's the kind of the idea that we're going with this week. If you want to support the podcast, remember you can do that on buymeacoffee.com/Guitar Smarts. That's where you can give us a contribution if you want to the cost of running the show. But the best thing you can do if you want to support the show is to leave us a rating or a review for our podcast, either on Spotify or iTunes. That really helps us get it into the ears of more guitarist and musician listeners just like yourself. So we're really grateful if you could go and do that. It's not difficult to do because I've left links in the podcast description and the show notes to help you get to the webpage that you need to go to leave us a review. So thank you in advance for doing that. Anyway, onwards with the show. Let's get to it. How you doing, mate? You well?
I'm really good, mate. Yeah, I'm really good. Looking forward to today. This one's really testing me again. That's why I'm late. That is why I'm late.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry I'm late turning in my homework. But yeah, I thought I'd left myself enough time. I thought, yeah, this is easy. This is really difficult. We'll get to that in a minute.
I found it easy.
Did you?
I found it easy. I don't know why, because you know what? The last time we did a challenge where we kind of set ourselves a budget, for a hypothetical spend, I did find it hard. When we did that, was it the £800 pub thing? Yeah. And, and this week we're doing £5,000, right? So, $6,000-7,000 kind of rig. But anyway, before we get on to that, how's things, Kieran? How's your week been? Been good?
Good, mate. Yeah, work has been busy, but all good. And I got some family holidays coming up, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, we've got some holidays coming up in June where we're going to venture out of the country, and we're going to go to France for a bit, and we're going to go to Turkey as well. So, I've got a couple of holidays lined up. So, I'm excited about that. And life is good. Gigging is fun. Had some good gigs. Set up some guitars this week. Yeah. Set up an acoustic to get that playing nicely. Faith acoustic. They're good guitars, man. They're beautiful guitars.
Really? I mean, I've heard great things about them, but like they're not an expensive range of guitars, right?
No,
they're not. Above their weight.
Exactly my view. Really nicely finished, really nicely made, quality components. Yeah, great electrics in the electroacoustics, which has got some really premium specs, and that set up really beautifully. And I was like, these are really good guitars.
What kind of wood choices do they have? Is it quite a standard range of spruce and?
Yeah, this one was like a nice spruce top with a nice bit of binding and what looks like to be some sort of mahogany or derivative kind of dark back. So pretty standard stuff. Nothing particularly exotic, but it's just got some nice inlay work and. The electronics in this one I thought were really lovely. Just the whole preamp section. Just obviously it had your kind of volume and tone shaping control and stuff, but it's got some nice little phase switches in there. It's got some ways where you can EQ and adjust the levels of the individual strings almost. Which is really a cool little feature.
That is very cool because I guess you can get quite deep down into really getting that acoustic system fine-tuned for your playing or for the sound you want to have. That's cool. I didn't realize you could do that.
No, it's really cool. Intense. And then it's got an onboard tuner on the preamp piece as well, so which is a lot of guitars do nowadays. But yeah, anyway, that was nice. And then a friend of the show, who I'm sure we'll have back on again, Mr. Damien Lodrick, has been out purchasing yet another Lukather.
Oh no, seriously? Another?
Yeah.
Demo.
Yeah, they're multiplying. They're multiplying.
Leave some for the rest of us, will you?
Leave some Lukather guitars.
Got more Lukather guitars than Lukather. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's getting to that stage. So I've set that one up for him today. I'm just waiting for a part to arrive on it.
Yeah.
Which hopefully will arrive today, and then I can pop that bit in, and it's done. But it's playing. Oh man, it's fast. It might be the fastest guitar I've ever played.
Really?
To the point where I'm like, it's too fast for me.
Is it really slinky? Kind of.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm not a good enough player to play it as fast as this guitar will allow me to play. He'll love it. He'll be happy with it. And then I'm off gigging tonight. So tonight's going to be a fun one.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to use something different tonight? Because last week, remember, we spoke about you thinking, maybe you want to try Les Paul for this gig. I'm going to stick with my standard rig, but I am going to use the Les Paul for my next gig with my band. Right. Okay.
Which I said I would do in June. Yeah. I'm depping for Damien's band tonight.
Excellent.
And,
okay.
So we're going on this is a bit of a jolly, this one, mate, for me, not for him. It's work for him. He's a professional. But for me, it's the pleasure of just being able to sit in with what is like what is it, 6 or 7 piece band tonight?
Yeah. Wow.
As opposed to being the only guitarist in my band. It's like there's brass, there's keys, there's Damo on guitar already, and so I can just slot in.
You can just turn your volume all the way down for the gig. Pretend.
Do you know what? I might have to, because it's an overnight stay. They're putting us up overnight in this hotel, and it's a lock-in, and it's a free bar, and the band are basically being fed and watered. So I don't know how I got a visa for this one from my good lady wife, but when I eventually surface tomorrow, it's going to be
carnage. It's going to be carnage tonight.
Yeah, so I'll take a guitar, but as you say, the volume might have to come down at some point.
Exactly. If you can find it, you can find it.
Well, I haven't had a drink for 3 weeks. I've been off the alcohol, trying to be clean living and healthy.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to fall off the wagon. Yeah, what could go wrong? What could go wrong now?
Jump off the wagon. That's what's happening. Jumping off the wagon straight off the side of the cliff edge.
Oh, mate. No. Yeah, so life is busy, but it's all good. How are you, buddy? How's things?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
I've just noticed the guitars are behind you, all of them.
Me,
hey, that looks great, doesn't it?
Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that look good?
Really
so
does.
It's fantastic. It's almost like a little history of guitars,
It is.
in a way.
It is.
I love it. I'm really loving having them all on the wall now. And it's fantastic.
It looks superb.
It's great to be able to just kind of grab one down every so often and have a bit of a noodle.
Exactly.
And it's so great going from guitar to guitar, feeling the difference and like, wow, it's I've never really had that before. Sounds weird, doesn't it? I didn't think that having more guitars would make me appreciate the difference in guitars. I thought I'd just love having more guitars. But yeah, this week's been quiet for me because I've kind of been, you remember last week I had a bad kind of cough and stuff like that. So it kind of got worse over the weekend. I ended up having to get on some antibiotics with the doctors. And I'm only just now today really starting to feel like I'm coming out of it and feeling a lot better, but still a bit of a... Yeah,
sorry to hear you with that unwell. Didn't realise.
But I'm feeling okay now. Feeling a lot better.
Good.
Still have a bit of a lingering cough, but it's getting there. But this week, man, you set this challenge. You set this challenge.
Do you know what? And I thought it'd be easy. I thought this would just be.
It wasn't totally easy until I don't know about for you, but for me, I kind of took an approach which kind of made it easy in a way.
Okay, that's that. Yeah, it sounds like you had to.
I think
a better approach then.
I think I learned from. Do you remember when we were just talking, weren't we, at the beginning about the pub rig? First pub guitar rig for 800 quid.
Yes.
That we did a few episodes back. And I took the approach there of thinking, right, well, I'm going to see what I can spend my £800 on in terms of can I get everything? So I'm down to the cases and the guitar leads and stuff like that. Yeah. And I kind of came out of that thinking that was a bit of a mistake, really. Maybe it was best to assume I've got all the secondary components and really the budget is for the primary things, the guitar and the amp, which is kind of the approach you took, right? And you ended up with a way better rig than mine, So I've kind of taken that approach this time. So even though we've got now like £5,000, I was thinking I'm just going to do the primary components here, amp, guitar, pedal, whatever. But I've got to say, I was kind of thinking about this and I thought, £5,000 is a lot of money, but even if you're just a semi-pro guitarist who's kind of working maybe as a guitar teacher and, gigging on weddings and stuff at the weekend, so it's your full-time day job, professional guitarist, but you're not kind of like a session pro or anything like that, you're just your average Joe guitarist. $5,000 still doesn't get you a huge amount, does it, in terms of, you can get professional quality equipment, but we're still talking off-the-shelf standard stuff, really, for a lot of it, when you look at a full rig.
Yeah, it was a weird price point. I realise in hindsight now, because it's definitely enough money to get you a really good gigging rig. I go out with a rig that is probably guitar, maybe, and the pedal board and amp and cables, probably not probably $3,500 to $4,000 as a rig anyway, right? But there's some compromises on my rig. There's bits where I've had to choose, and some stuff that I'm just not comfortable taking out and gigging. So because it's either cost too much or whatever. So it's a decent amount. But I'd lured myself into thinking it was loads of money and enough to get whatever I wanted. So I started to kind of go dream rig mentality, but then you realise actually it's not enough money to buy your ultra dream guitar. You need a workhorse guitar, but So hey, look, I took the opposite approach that I did last time. So I followed your approach. So we don't talk about these things during the week, and then these wonderful moments happen. So I've taken your approach now, and I've literally costed out everything from patch cables to pedal board to everything. Yeah, no, I've gone seriously. If I was going to give somebody advice to say you've got $5,000, I will get you, because this would never happen, right? Because obviously in the real world it would be exactly as you described, which is someone would have some basic equipment already, right? Some cables and leads. But I've assumed that this is a guitarist who has lost everything, let's say, through theft or a house fire or whatever, and has nothing, right? The slate is clean. The paper is blank, and it's like, right, you got $5,000 check from the insurance company, and you got to build your rig again. Where would you start? And I was thinking in my mind, where would I start again? Because also, I don't know if you found, you kind of wiped your slate clean a little while ago, didn't you? And revamped everything. But I feel like I've gone down a route now where I'm kind of like, I've pursued that route. So unless I kind of sell everything and start again, I've kind of chosen some. So I'm kind of thinking, well, if I could do it again, and if I did have to start again, what would I do now differently?
That's a good point there, because I felt the first thing I had to do as well was put myself in a particular mindset rather than just have a spending spree, right? And it's interesting that you've chosen that mindset of kind of, if I had to start again, you've chosen like a reason why you would start again, like you know, some kind of theft, or, you've got to pay out and you've got to go out and spend that now on replacing things. And I kind of took a similar approach I was kind of like, what if I just come out of, let's say I've just come out of college.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to
say prison there. I don't know why. I thought you
give me more credit than that. Come on.
I do. You're the most honourable person I know.
Well, like, what if I just come out of college, music school or something, and I'm starting my own function band and teaching business and stuff like that, and I'm thinking I'm just going to take out maybe like a small business loan or something like that, just to improve my equipment. So that I can say to myself, I'm ready, I'm equipped and ready for any situation now as a musician. I don't have that situation now. Maybe I've got a couple of cheap Strats or something and an old Blues Deluxe, and maybe what I want to be able to do is be able to say more confidently that I can say yes to more complex musical situations, and I can what can I do if I can afford a £5,000 loan currently, with my students that I have, and I'm going to build that business. What am I going to buy? That's kind of the mindset I took.
That's cool.
Right.
Yeah, great. Similar thing.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of what I'm setting a budget, and I want to be able to achieve as much as possible with that budget, but with that kind of career aspect in mind, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm a talented, hardworking, qualified musician, and I want to keep my door open to as many opportunities as possible to work as a musician for other people, kind of thing. That's the kind of approach I took. Really sorry to interrupt this fascinating conversation, but if you've made it this far, then maybe you should subscribe to the Guitar Smarts podcast. Go and do that now, and then come right back to the show.
Exactly, and I had that in mind as well, buddy, which is this has to be a rig that is a really good gigging rig that you can take out, do your function gigs, do your wedding gigs, do your pub gigs, get in the studio with if you need to, but as a working guitarist, right? It's not a rig. It's not a rig where I would just go, oh, well, that's just a lovely guitar that I'd like to keep at home and treasure and have on the wall and stuff like that. And it's just far too pretty or valuable to take out and gig with. This is a working rig.
Yeah, absolutely. So shall we start?
Yeah. Well, we've taken very different approaches, haven't we? So
I think so. I think.
Where did you start then? Where did you go? Right, the first thing I'm going to build my rig around is this. Or did you just go, I got $5,000. I'm going to go and look at all the shiny guitars and see what I can get with $5,000.
I kind of started looking at guitars first, and then I know. But you know what I did?
Yeah.
I had something ringing in my ears from a couple of podcasts ago when we were talking about guitars, and you mentioned that you were talking to Demo about what guitars do you really need, and you both agreed immediately a Strat with a humbucker, and that's been ringing in my ears. I kind of thought it's so true. You can cover 95% of entire musical requirements with a decent Strat with a humbucker.
Yeah.
So I started looking for. Tell you what, do you know what? I've got a little PowerPoint, so I'm gonna.
It's okay, mate. I've got an Excel spreadsheet.
I'm gonna share my screen.
This is how seriously I took this. Yeah.
Apologies to our listeners who, because we're still an audio-only podcast, you can't see the power of our PowerPoint, things like that. Let's share this. So let me know when you can see this.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the guitar I went for. This is from currently available at Guitar in the UK.
Yeah.
Other stores are available, obviously, but I tend to search their website a lot. Do you know what? Because they've got a very easy website to navigate.
It's a good filtering system on there, isn't
fantastic
it? To select
system,
what you want and narrow it down. I agree with you.
That's
right. Gear for Music as well has a very good...
Gear for Music is great. I think Andertons have a brilliant stock of guitars, but I find their website glitches really quite a lot. But that's anyway. So I decided on this. This is a Fender American Professional 2 Strat. So not the ultra range, not the top end off the shelf, non-custom shop guitars, but the next one down, Fender American Pro Strat, Miami Blue, Rosewood fingerboard. And I just thought that is going to be a great workhorse. Again, single coil humbucker, 2-point tremolo. It's got a hybrid radius, compound radius, fretboard, so nice and flat, going to a little bit more rounded in the top end. Really great pickups. I can't remember what the name of the pickups are. I was looking at them last night, but it's a really, really well spec'd out guitar. Lots of comforts. Like the heel on the body is rounded off.
I like that,
so it's that more modern Strat for a professional guitarist, and I thought I really like the color of it as well. That kind of light blue is really cool. And 1,500 quid, I thought that's not bad really for a US made professional Strat. That'll take me a long way.
Yeah, I went and had a look at Strats as well.
Yeah.
For the same reason that we discussed, which is all you need is a Strat with a humbucker in the bridge. Yeah. And I was just like, I can't find an expensive enough Strat to utilize this budget.
Well, that's why I went for 2 guitars. So
this is why you're a genius.
I went for 2 guitars, but I'm gonna take you back. I tell you what, let me take you through my entire rig, and then we'll jump onto yours. Okay, we start with the guitar, but it's going to be no surprise to you that the audio, the sound making part, other than the instrument, the amp and whatnot, that the first thing I went for was a modeling. Yeah. Digital setup. Absolutely. I've not gone here for like an expensive handmade Fender amp or anything like that.
No.
I've decided to go for what is probably the most powerful modeler on the market, the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, for a number of reasons.
That is a lot of money.
£1,600 for basically a digital guitar amp, for a fake guitar amp. Yeah. But it does everything, that we've spoken about before that the Helix does. They sound fantastic. There's some really cool routing options as well. It's got so many different inputs and outputs that, I could run 2 guitars through it. I wouldn't have to have, if I've got a 2 guitar rig, I don't have to unplug one and plug another one in. Okay. I could have one rig for one guitar and another rig for the second guitar, both working at the same time. I just need to pick one guitar up or the other, which is cool. The other thing you can do with it is you can integrate USB devices into the signal chain. So if I've got, for example, when I'm practicing at home, I use a program called Positive Grid Bias FX. Yeah. Which is kind of the same thing in your Spark amp, right? And if I wanted to with a Quad Cortex, if there was a particular sound I wanted to gig on Positive Grid, I can take my laptop with me, I can plug into the Quad Cortex, and I can program my Quad Cortex to send my guitar out of the USB and receive it back from the USB through the plug-in, and then output it into my FR amp or into the PA system, and it would be completely latency free. So it's like the most modern of modern ways of getting all the guitar sounds you could possibly want. And the other thing that this does, which Helix doesn't do and Kemper doesn't do, Fractal doesn't do. I don't believe Fractal does this, but like the Kemper, this is a profiling guitar unit as well. So if there's if one day in the future I do find that I buy myself a really nice Fender Deluxe amp or something that I don't want to take out gigging, I can use a microphone to create a profile of that amp, and then I can have that amp digitally replicated in the Quad Cortex. Wow. And still take that out. And so that's why I went for this, because I kind of thought this is my way within a certain budget of being able to, like I said, say yes to more musical situations, right? I can take a Quad Cortex to any studio session you wanted, any kind of live situation you wanted, and be able to get the sounds I wanted. So that's my number one choice. Instead of a pedal board, I've gone for another. I don't think I'll ever go back, by the way.
I don't think you will, based on this choice. Yeah,
no, clearly. I don't think I ever will. No. But then I've gone for 2 Boss Katanas. What? You're probably thinking, why have you gone for... And I'll tell you why. It's because the Boss Katana has a power amp input, which is completely separate from the preamp stage and any effects stage. So if I wanted to, I can take my Neural DSP out and 2 of these tiny, lightweight little 100 watt Merc 2 combos and have a fantastic sounding stereo effects rig through the Boss katanas. Or if I want to go down to a jam, I can grab my guitar and I can grab my katana, and that's it.
And just take those two. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was kind of like, so I've got my expensive Neural DSP. I've got for just under £700 there, I can buy myself 2 Boss katana 100 watts, 1x12s, but I can still take those out and use them separately. And if my Neural DSP dies on me suddenly for whatever reason or crashes, just go plug straight into a Boss katana. So I'm kind of like, okay, this is a pretty good standalone rig here. And I got to the point here where I was kind of like, I've got enough money now for a second guitar. Just over £1,000 left over after that Strat, the Neural DSP. What am I going to go for? And I went for this. And
hello.
The reason I went for this is this bit here. So I've gone for our listeners again, you can't see this, a PRS SE Hollow Body 2 Piezo Peacock Blue and Smoke Burst. So this is now more of a Les Paul kind of scale length, double humbucker. It's a PRS guitar, but it's hollow body, and crucially, it's got piezo pickup in the bridge. So now I can use this as my second guitar. Bit more of a rock machine. It's hollow body, so I can probably approximate some jazz tones a little bit more.
For sure.
And if I want to, I can use the output from the piezo pickup to go into the second input of my Neural DSP, and I can have a second rig in my Neural DSP that's purely for acoustic guitar sounds. Amazing. So now I'm kind of like, I've bought 4 things, well 5 technically because it's 2 katanas, and I'm thinking, I think I've probably got 99% of all possible sounds I could ever need to get out of that rig, and that's it. That's my rig, and then the total it comes to is £4,945.
Oh, bang on.
Pretty much bang on. Enough for lunch and a couple of beers.
That is absolutely superb. Honestly, I don't think I can beat that approach. I think, every base is covered, from a studio session to a professional gig to a pub gig to a jam night. You got a couple of different things going on there guitar wise, which gives you that versatility. I think that's great. I mean, you will literally need a PhD in physics or engineering to program that Neural DSP.
Yeah. Possibly. Yeah, it takes some time and some experience,
which your brain will be able to cope with. I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm literally just intimidated at the thought of a £1,600 modelling effects unit, floor-based stomp box, effectively, just in terms of, I mean, the sound quality of it must be incredible. And all those features that you've spoken about, right through to the profiling elements of it and all the effects built in, it just sounds amazing. I don't know what's happened. Maybe I'm getting older, though. It just fills me with anxiety. I'm like, oh, man, the days, weeks, years I would lose going down the rabbit hole of configurations and settings and patches but that's what guitar is all about, right? That constant quest for tone. And
do you know what happens? And then you go down that rabbit hole, and then a year later they release like new software and say, hey, we've got we've done 3 more delay types for you, and hey, here's 2 new amplifiers that sound great too. And this is because Neural DSP are a software company as well as a hardware company. All the time they're developing these new software plugins for guitar amplifiers, and people like Corey Wong have their own plugins and stuff. Those things then just get transferred as software into the Neural DSP floor unit, so you can access all of the software sounds in the same unit in a live situation. It's just a no-brainer to me. It really is. I'm such a convert. I'm such a convert from the analog world to the digital world. I really am. I got to say, it's almost liberating to have. I mean, you talk about the anxiety of being able to kind of program these things in. It's so simple. It really is simple. That's just user interface design. That's something entirely different. And this is where people like Line 6 and Fractal and Kemper and Neural DSP have become so successful is arguably not just because of the sounds they're able to create. I mean, you could even say really that it's easy now with the quality of computing that's available, the power of computers. You see, it's almost easy to digitally recreate the sound of analog equipment now. What's difficult is to present it in a usable way. And that's where these people have made their investments, right? They've invested heavily in user interface design so that people like you and I can pick one of these machines up and go, okay, how do I get a sound going? Okay, this is pretty straightforward,
So that's my question. That's my question to you, right? Does it fit? Is it anywhere near the intuitiveness, if that's a word?
Yeah.
Have you had that experience with the Helix, or what you envisage would be from this Neural DSP as a piece of technology from Apple, where they deliberately do not include a product manual with it because they know it's that intuitive that you can pick it up and figure it out?
Yeah, on the surface, yes. So if I was to give you a Helix and no manual, and I was to turn it on so that when it turns on, it's on a new preset with nothing on, I think you would pretty quickly be able to work a sound out. It's not so intuitive that it takes no thought at all. You will, and there are some things that when you learn them, you go, oh, okay, this makes sense, but you're probably not going to pick them up straight away. But it certainly doesn't need you to sit there and read through a manual from front to back before you can even touch the thing. Like my Helix, for example, is so simple. I mean, the way that everything's laid out, you see your signal path on the screen from left to right. You can see what your signal's going through, like as if you're looking at a pedal board. If you want, you can position things as if it's a pedal board, so that it makes more sense to you.
I guess these companies have got to do that in this day and age, right? In order to get the traction with it. I mean, the modeling technology in terms of the sound and the being convincing that it is an authentic, proper, sound has moved on leaps and bounds. But I guess there must be. I tell you why I'm asking these inane questions is, one, because I know how super bright you are and how much aptitude you have for the technical elements of sound engineering and
thank you
and digital equipment. Well, you do, right? I'm not a Luddite in this area. I do like my gadgets and technology and stuff, and I'm definitely not stuck in the dark ages when it comes to embracing new technology. But I do remember the Pod XT that I still own and gigged for a while as a great piece of gear, but just remembering that learning curve and that transition of having to really understand how to fully utilize a piece of kit like that to do what I wanted it to, and to get those convincing sounds. Now, obviously, the world has moved on by 20 years. So not only is the modeling technology in terms of sound that much better, but from what you're saying, also the level of user interface and accessibility is better, because that's the thing that just fills me with like, I just want to be able to play without having to constantly worry of like, okay, have I got my all this patches sorted, and
there's nothing more out of the way than a normal guitar amp and a pedal board, right? Actual physical knobs to turn. You just have an on switch, and when you've pressed standby on and and you're plugged in, and your volume. If you can't hear anything, you turn one knob to the right, and it's. There's nothing more intuitive than maybe that's why. Maybe that's a factor to people loving the analog stuff more. A lot of people say it's the sound, but maybe it's also usability. But anyway, let's not go too deep down that rabbit hole. Let's talk about. Take me through your rig now. So so I've just done my. I've gone into Guitar Shop. I've spent just nearly £5,000 on 4 things.
Right. But 4 things that like morph and transform into 36 different things based on the combinations that you could. So that's smart. That's really smart. 4 very expensive, very smart investment as well, mate. This is the philosophy. Like buy it right the first time, spend the money, and then you won't be buying it again. And I think that's what you've done. You've bought high quality, pieces of gear that are going to be versatile, adaptable, and really stand the test of time and give you the sound you want, which is great.
Yeah.
So in true opposite style, I've gone for how much gear can I buy for £5,000?
That's brilliant.
Which is completely missing the point of having this type of budget. I think you've taken the right approach, but let me take you through my rig, and I haven't gone completely cheapskate. Let's put that to bed straight away. I have spent some money in the right places, I think. Right, I need to share my screen with you, buddy, so you can see some of the things I'm talking about. So hopefully you can see my blue screen, right?
I can see a spreadsheet. Should I not look at the spreadsheet?
My spreadsheet.
Don't look at the spreadsheet.
Don't look at the spreadsheet.
Don't look at the spreadsheet.
Right, here you go. Okay. So I didn't start with the guitar.
Okay.
Because I wanted to save that little pleasure till last.
Okay.
With safe in the knowledge that I knew how much money I had to then spend on the guitar. Right. So I started with, if that makes any sense, right? It was almost like delaying the most enjoyable part, because I was like, right, I've got to get all this other stuff sorted.
Yeah.
Because when I did this with Matt last time, you went down to the level of patch cables and plectrums, and I was just like, I'm going to get told off if I don't do this properly. So I'm going to go through all of that. I'm not going to bore our listeners with all of that. No, I've enjoyed it. But I thought I'm going to start with the amp.
Okay.
I'm gonna get that sorted first, and then I'm gonna build around it with the other stuff that I'll need to make it all work.
Okay.
So, right. Welcome to my new amp.
No way. Seriously?
Yes, what I do. That's what I do. If I could start again,
you'd go for one of these. Okay. Tell the listeners. Yeah. Put them out of their misery. What have you shown me?
I've shown you a pedal.
You've shown me a pedal, not an amp.
I've shown you a pedal, not an amp. I would go for the Strymon Iridium.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I've thought about this.
Why?
There's a number of reasons, right?
Okay.
First and foremost is sound quality, right? And having done the modeling thing back in the day, not nowadays, and with the Helix stuff, but already expressing to you the level of anxiety that I have with something so programmable and so customizable that it gets a bit in my headspace and in the way of what I want to try to do. So
yeah,
that's my own personal weirdness. I want to still try and keep it relatively simple. So I do want to have a pedal board, and I want to get that really lovely amp sound. And I'm seeing the pro guitarists doing this now with the Iridium and ditching the amp, ditching the heavy valve amp. And that's the other thing. The more I'm gigging now, even lugging around my Blues Deluxe, it's a heavy piece of kit.
Yeah.
And I've had to carry that across like football fields from one end to the other, because there's no access to the stage at the back of the venue. So you got to park on the other side, and there's no trolleys to take your gear. So you're literally carrying this thing for like 500 meters. And you think, why? There's got to be a better way. And I think this is the better way, right? So if I could start again, I would build my platform around this.
Excellent.
So that's where I'd start. It's an amp and a pedal, and it's a very versatile piece of kit to do. And
that. Am I right in saying that friends of the show, Matt Lake, and his Damo's
gone that way. He's gone that way now as well.
This way. Okay, and you've heard these guys, right? And it sounds good.
It sounds great. It sounds really, really good.
There you go, proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah, it convinced me.
Especially those guys, I mean, not to discredit you as the fantastic guitarist that you are, but if people like Matt Lake and Damien Lodrick, whose career it is to do this stuff, and
exactly, that's the difference, right?
You and I are non-professional guitarists. We do it on the side of our day job, and these guys are pros, and they're doing it. Then that's a big thumbs up.
They have amps, and I've spoken to them about this. They've got some lovely amps. Matt Lake particularly, he's got Fender Bassmans and all kinds of beautiful stuff, which he still loves playing through. But I've spoken to them both about this, and they're like, honestly, we keep those amps because we like the knowledge that we have an amp and it's nice to, but in terms of gigging, taking this out, sound difference, usability, they're just like, this is the way to go. And if I'm talking about a proper working gigging rig and what I would do, I'd go down this route. So I'm not going to sell my Blues Deluxe. There's too much history there with it, and I love it. But if I didn't have that history,
so was the Blues Deluxe not stolen as part of the insurance claim? Is that right?
It's in my false house fire. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right, I get it. You just got the police report, didn't you?
Oh,
somebody stole it.
You've been watching too much of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial this week. I felt like I was under cross-examination.
Yeah, I know.
I thought you said earlier that you had a house fire.
Hang on a second.
Right, so that's where I'm going, mate. Cool. I'm putting that on a pedal board, right? Excellent. Which will then be no surprise to you that I have then built a pedal board, okay. Right? So that's where I went next. I was like, the Strymon Iridium is going on the board.
Yeah.
So I am going to then build a pedal board around that. So actually, hold on. Before I went there, I decided that, like in a similar way that you went, I thought, right, I'm going to need some foldback, or I'm going to need some sort of monitoring, so that I have got the option, if I want to, of playing smaller gigs or just having like the ability to hear my own guitar sound, right? Because the Strymon's designed to ideally run into a PA, right? So that's all taking care of the front of house stuff. So I've also plumped for one of the Alto True Sonic TS 310s.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we've got the 8-inch version, right? You've got the Head Rush, which is a similar thing, and I've got the 8-inch TS 308 as my foldback that I use. Mm-hmm. Lovely piece of kit, really good, like 2,000 watts. Really nicely made, super durable. I've gone for the 10-inch version just to have that additional kind of, I guess, low end, because I'm not just using it as fold back in this hypothetical rig as I am with my 308 in real life. I would then be able to take this 310 if I wanted to a jam night or to a practice session. There's plenty of like volume in it, and just plug directly into that from the Iridium with the cab simulation, and have that as an amp, or in a full-on gig situation, have it as my fold back as well.
Great idea.
Yeah, so I've got my pedal, but I've also got my little full range speaker as well, so that I can have an amp of sorts. But you know, for those dep gigs and things where all that's taken care of, I just leave the Alto at home and just take the pedal board.
Awesome.
So then I built a pretty straightforward pedal board, but you'll be pleased to know, well, it did appear on there, and then I had a word with myself and took it off. The first thing I wrote down, what was the first pedal I wrote down on my £5,000 gig rig pedal board?
Is it a wah-wah pedal?
Oh, you do know me. It would have been. That was the second pedal I wrote down.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you still get some bonus points there. That was the second pedal.
Is it your wish clon? Which was it?
It was. I got £5,000 to spend on a pedal board, and the first pedal, other than my Strymon Iridium, I put on there is a $40 Wish.com clone. All right, that is a wicked pedal. It's brilliant, but I took it off and went, hold on, you got some money to spend here. Spend it. So the Seriatone Centura.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's like regarded as the one to go for, right? The closest to the original clone. Okay.
Closest to the original clone.
Wow.
Original clone. It is a clone. It's not cheap. It's $250. So we're getting through the money already. The Strymon is $345. Yeah. The Alto foldback is $342.
Yeah.
So now we're getting into the pedals. The clone, the best one you can get is $250 already.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to rattle through these at a pace. I then went for a Polytune Mini, $70.
Yeah.
Crybaby wah pedal, $70. MXR Super Distortion pedal. Fans of the show will know I love that pedal. It's basically my Marshall JCM 800 in a box, or Silver Jubilee in a box. It's awesome. 89 pounds for all your Guns N' Roses tones in one pedal. It is awesome. I went for a Tube Screamer Mini.
Nice.
$55. Nice to see the little green goblin on the pedal board. It's got to be there. I need some reverb because I haven't got an amp with reverb in it now. So I bought the Hall of Fame Reverb Mini.
Nice.
84 quid.
Good choice. I've had that pedal before. Fantastic reverb pedal.
You loved it. That's why I bought it, because you just said it was the best reverb pedal that you'd ever bought.
Well, it could be any reverb pedal. You could connect up to it with your USB connection and just choose any TC Electronic reverb, which, if you know TC Electronic, there's not many people that make better reverbs than those guys. Studio quality reverbs. You could have any of them in there. You can even use an app on your phone to change the sound through your pickups. You know, it's such an incredible pedal. That Hall of Fame Mini, absolutely incredible reverb.
There you go. And for 84, well, you sold it to me years ago, mate, and I heard you play it, and I was just like, that's a cracking reverb. That is really nice. So I put one of those on the board. Aquapus delay.
Way huge.
Way huge pedals. We love way huge stuff. The Aquapus, Mayer uses it. It's a great delay pedal. It's a lot. What else did I go for? It's the TC Electronics Spark Mini Boost for kicking into solos. We've spoken about it. It's big one of the shows. We're big. That momentary function is genius. Whoever decided, why doesn't every boost pedal have that?
Yeah,
seriously.
Simple.
Why doesn't every
little
boost
usable
pedal have
features like that make all the difference?
MXR Analog Chorus, $99. Just wanted a nice analog chorus on there. And I bought a Pedal Train 2, a Voodoo Labs power supply, and a bunch of good patch cables. So far, I have spent 1,878 Great British pounds.
So you're now looking at a budget of around $3,000 for your guitar.
That left me $3,000 for a guitar.
Okay.
So I was just like, okay, it's time to go shopping for a guitar for $3,000.
That's a meaty budget to have for a guitar, isn't it? That's fantastic.
It's a nice budget, right? So I thought, well, this is why you are smart and I am not. In my head, I went $3,000. Who do I know that sells $3,000 guitars? And I was like, we're now talking Gibson or PRS. And so I thought, well, our mantra is all you really need for gigging is a Strat with a humbucker.
Okay. So you bought a Les Paul.
So I thought, right, hold on, let's go to Fender. So I went to Fender. And then realised they have nothing expensive enough for my $3,000. Or they have a few custom shop stuff, which is super, super expensive, right? Which I was just like, well, that's just blowing the budget. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, let's go to PRS then. So I wandered over to the fine people of PRS, and I thought, right, $3,000. We're playing in Core Series kind of money now. I can go and get something, even maybe private stock, maybe something really beautiful, like a real, stunning piece of. No, it's not enough money.
No, it isn't, is it?
$3,000's not enough money. You need to be richer than that.
What actually, just to kind of, sorry to knock you off your stride here.
No, please.
But what price point does the core range of PRS USA guitars start at? About
£3,700.
Seriously?
£3,799. So I couldn't even think to myself, all right, do you know what? I know the folks at this guitar shop, or I'd call these guys up and say, look, can we do a deal on this? I'm going to buy all of this other stuff that I've just gone through. I'm going to spend $5,000 with you today. How about we do one of these PRS custom 24s at $3,000? That'd be asking them to knock off a quarter of the price of it. Effectively, give me a 25% discount on this PRS weighing, maybe on a good day. But
well, you could have bought a Silver Sky and then stuck a Hot Rails in the bridge.
You could could go and bastardize a Silver Sky. Would you want to though? Would you want to go and spend $2,500 on a Silver Sky, then rip its guts out?
No, that's true.
No, I wouldn't. That would be so weird. So I started getting a bit despondent. But then I thought, now hold on a minute. There is that range of PRS guitars that's still made in Maryland. So not the SE range, but the ones that are made with slightly different specs to the core series, more modest specs. It's the S2 range. Yeah. So maybe I can get something for that money. But they're still not cheap, right?
No.
So I did find a PRS S2, which was $2,000. So I thought, okay, I can afford that. That's $2,000. All right, not too bad. But do you know what? The S2 range is lovely, and it's a very workhorse guitar. But they're not pretty. They're not like the PRS core range where you've got those beautifully figured maple tops that just pop. They're a little bit more modest than that.
Yeah, and I find that they're a bit flat looking almost.
They are flat.
The thing I love about the PRS is that exactly. There's no carve, is there really? Whereas,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly right. And I thought, do I want to spend $2,000 on an S2 guitar to say, yes, it's made out of the PRS factory in America, but hasn't got that nice carved top that we associate with those PRS 24 guitars. So I was thinking, oh crap, what am I going to do here? And then I thought, well, hold on a minute. We've always spoken about the fact that if we're going to be out as a gigging guitarist, you need to have two guitars. So I was just like, well, this should have occurred to me much earlier than it did. This occurred to me, Matt, literally, bearing in mind I'd been doing my research on this for way over an hour now, building the pedal board. This blinding insight of buy two guitars, which clearly occurred to you right from the off, only occurred to me about 3 minutes before I joined the recording today. So I had 3 minutes to then take my $3,000 budget and go and buy two guitars. But I'm really happy with my choices because this is obvious for me now, which is I went and bought a Les Paul.
No way.
Well, seriously? yeah, I did because I think you've got all grounds covered then, right? So a Gibson Les Paul classic, with the nice 60 slim profile neck, the open humbuckers that I like. You got yourself a Gibson for £1,800. They're a lot cheaper than the standard. So I've got a Les Paul, full fat Gibson Les Paul, beautiful. And I thought, well, then I've still got some money left to go and buy a PRS because I really want a PRS in this rig because then I've got the versatility of a guitar with humbuckers and single coils in it. So I went and got the Ezra Verde SE PRS, which I've been coveting anyway for quite a while. So I went and got that, which I will. That one there.
So that's a beautiful guitar. Yeah. So for our listeners, go and check out PRS's SE Custom 24-08 electric guitar in Iriza Verde, which is this beautiful snot green coloured. Sorry, no, I'm joking. It is. It's this beautiful kind of really rich and kind of vibrant green guitar. But you chose this because of the switching options and also its kind of capabilities, right, as a high-end SE guitar.
Exactly. Right, exactly. It's a high-end SE guitar. It's got the single coil switching on little toggle switches, hence the 2408, the 08 being the variations of different pickup configurations and tones you can get from it.
Okay. 24 being the number of frets, 24 frets, custom 24. It's that particular scale length.
That's it.
Cool. Okay.
And 8 toggle switchable options for combining humbuckers and single coils, and the single coil tones on it are just nicer. It just works better. So one of those and one of those. You're a zebra pickup man through and through, aren't you? I do like a zebra.
You do like the zebra pickups on a Les Paul. So again, for our listeners here, what model is that? That's a Gibson USA Les Paul Classic.
That's it.
In Heritage Cherry Sunburst. Which actually, I tell you what, that's not a bad price for a bona fide USA Gibson. Right? It's not your standard with the flame top or anything, but that's still a beautiful Les Les Paul, bound on the top. It's not the studio, kind of unrefined kind of looking thing. It's still a very classic looking Lester, isn't it?
I love a plain top Les Paul more sometimes than the flame tops. When you take the scratch plate off and a nice plain top, I really do like them. PRS has got to have that super amount of flame, but I'm not that fussed on huge flamey tops on Les Pauls, bizarrely enough, even though that's what everyone loves. I really like a plain top. Mate, that's my rig. And that's come in at, you can see the spreadsheet now. So yeah, that's all my pedalboard stuff here. That's one guitar. That's two guitars. That's some money for cases, stands, cables, etc. Yeah, 4,860 quid. So we're pretty much there on the $5,000. I'd be happy with that.
That is a fantastic rig. I got to give it to you there. That is a superb rig. I think you've got more versatile a rig than you give yourself credit for as well, because of that inclusion of the Strymon Iridium. That's kind of like,
that's the thing, isn't it?
It's the thing at the end of your chain that gives you the option without compromise, right? Of sound. So you can still go out to your normal guitar amp if you ever wanted to, but you can also, you can do that digital thing, that silent stage thing, without compromising on the quality. Do you know what the thing I love the most about your choice though is that is that PRS. I really think if you're a guitarist out there now and you are kind of, I want to go and get myself another guitar, something reasonably priced, something good quality. I've got a couple of Lesters, and I'm happy with Strats. I don't need Strats. Not interested in this. That I don't know what to get. That's the first thing I would point somebody to. That model of PRS SE, not just PRS SE guitars in general, but that particular model, because of the quality of SE guitars we know PRS SE guitars, they're kind of spoken of as PRS's budget guitars, but they're up there with some of the best guitars quality wise. Anyway, they're just manufactured in the Far East and to a particular standard, right? But the quality of the hardware, the build quality of the materials, and those options to have a dual humbucking guitar that can be dual single coil and proper dual single coil as well, right? It's not like some kind of fake single coil emulation, or it's properly taking that second coil, that slug coil out, isn't it?
That's it.
That's a serious guitar. Serious guitar, that, for less than $1,000. And I think that is, look at that. That is absolutely short. So I'm just looking at the other pictures now, and it's like that maple neck with the rosewood fingerboard.
With the rosewood board.
But with the very lightly lacquered back of the body as well, because it's a mahogany body, but it's just very lightly.
It is. And that's the only bit that bothers me about this guitar, but I would very much live with it because the rest of the guitar is so
you
stunning.
like dark back guitars, don't you?
Well, not just that. Not just that. I do like a darker back, and the Core Series version of this guitar has a much darker back.
Yeah,
but that doesn't bother me so much, and you can't really see it on this picture because this is a stock library picture of it that I'm showing you. But the back is a three-piece back.
Oh, is it a three-piece? Right. Okay.
And on some of them, it's a very obvious three-piece where with the lighter finish, which is why actually they just should have stained the back darker, and gone for a slightly darker finish on the back, and they could have still kept this little front bevel on where the cutaway is as a lighter piece to tie in with the binding, because it's got this light kind of binding that goes all the way around the edge of the guitar anyway, and they could have just gone a few shades darker on the back to obscure that three-piece. But I'm being picky for what is a really, honestly, if it was me, I would pick this over the S2 American-made version, because they are doing an American-made version of this in the S2 range, but it hasn't got but there's some differences. They have, for the American one, these aren't available yet, the American-made 2408s. They're coming out soon, and they've brought the price down from, so it hasn't got the carve on it. It hasn't got the carve on it. Got it. It's got that flat top on it, which I think is I think it's arguably
it's got to
not
have
nice.
the carve. It's got to have some kind of carve. That's the appeal to me of this guitar, right? It's kind of like that's one thing I've always loved about PRS is it looks like a Strat being born out of the bottom of a Gibson. You know what I mean? It's kind of that's the beauty of a PRS. This is the best of the best of the the people who. Do you like a Strat? Do you like a Les Paul? Well, the PRS is meant to be the middle ground between the two. It's got to have that carve on it, though.
It does.
What's the wood choice? Is still rosewood fretboard on this PRS?
I want to say it's something else, actually, and I can't remember. Let me have a look at the specs, and we will see. Neck has got... Oh, no, it is rosewood. You're
right, okay.
Yeah. So top wood is maple, and it's a veneer. This beautiful thing that we're looking at is a veneer.
It's a veneer, but it's probably quite a decent veneer. Because
decent veneer.
Some veneers are still a very thin cutting of proper flame maple, aren't they? So it's probably still that. But some veneers are a photographic cover that goes over... like a less attractive piece of wood. So for these PRSs, it'll be a very thin shaving of actual maple, won't it?
It is, exactly that. So it's still a maple cap with a flamed maple veneer bonded to each other. So you still got that consistency of the fact it's maple. But rather than a full flamed cap, it's a veneer. But to be, honestly, have a look at some of the reviews and stuff online for this. People are just like, you can't even tell. It's got a 3-dimensional quality to the veneer because it's that good. But it's a proper rosewood board. I was thinking they might have gone for something else. That approximates rosewood, but it's not. It is rosewood.
Well,
there you go.
I offer you my sincere congratulations there, Kieran. I think that is a superb rig. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Great guitar choices. You surprised me and not surprised me at the same time because it's entirely Kieran to have chosen a Gibson Les Paul. But I didn't think you'd choose a Gibson Les Paul because you got your Strat stolen. So by the fact that you got your Strat stolen, you got one less Strat, but you've replaced it with another Les Paul. And,
I've replaced the Strat with a PRS.
That's true. You've replaced the Strat with a PRS. And bonused yourself a Gibson.
And bonus myself. I go, I can still get a Les Paul. I can always get a Les Paul.
I know.
And all Les Pauls always get a Les Paul. But you know what? It has actually made me seriously think about it. I mean, even though this is hypothetical, and I would, advise anybody that was looking, as you said, leaving college, had a chunk of money and was about to set themselves up on a career, or heaven forbid, somebody needed to start again because they'd had all their gear nicked and they got an insurance check. I would seriously say consider either one of the two rigs that we've put together and decide whether you want to go for the purely digital route, which has all of the virtues that you've described, or more of a hybrid kind of route that I've gone. Interesting that both of us have gone amp-less. Well, actually, no, we haven't, because you've got the katanas.
There we go.
I
think the best thing to do here is the best bit of advice we can give to someone now is to say, don't take out a £5,000 loan. Take out £10,000 and buy both rigs. Buy everything. Just buy everything we've said today. All 4 guitars, because that's a Strat. Two PRSs. And a Les Paul. One PRS with piezo pickups and hollow body. And then you've got a modelling setup. You've got a more classic pedal board with, a silent output. And you've just got everything. You've got everything you could ever need.
10 grand buys you everything you need.
10 grand buys you everything you ever need. Yeah.
But it will still never be enough because you'll still go and cover more guitars.
It will never be enough. So what are we doing next week, Kieran? £10,000 guitar rig challenge.
Might have got a head start on this one. I don't know. I'm going to ruminate over the weekend and never think about my without going too deep, not all my life choices, but mostly this choice around the Strymon Iridium and whether that is the way forward now. And I go down that route. I'm gonna listen to Damien's rig again tonight and see if that's the way forward. I'm gonna have to lug an amp around. Food for thought.
It's a boon. It's definitely a boon.
You've gone that route. Every time I'm doing multiple trips to the car, for setup, and at the end of the night, I have your voice resonating in my head, which is I just want life to be simple and be able to go to and from the car in 1 or 2 trips. I literally have to do about 4 trips, mate, but after mic stands and everything else.
Yeah, I still do mine in 2, but just to be leisurely, just to keep it simple, just keep it real.
Yeah. That's you.
I know.
Right, there we go. We better leave it there for today, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
That was super fun.
That was great fun. I feel replenished and ready to play guitar all weekend, which I'm not going to get the chance to do. But anyway.
You got too much lawn mowing to do.
Too much lawn mowing to do. Yeah, absolutely. All right, buddy.
Conversation. Have a great weekend, pal.
Yeah, you too, mate. I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, cheers.
All the best, mate. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. What do you think? What would you have done with £5,000? Would you have spent it differently? Would you have bought more guitars? Would you have bought more amps? Would you have done a more traditional setup? Something less digital maybe for Matt, or something a little bit more traditional for Kieran? Who knows? It's such a fascinating thing to do. I really recommend you do it yourself, because hypothetically it gets you thinking about different scenarios and maybe what you would do if you were in that situation yourself. Anyway, as always, thanks for listening. Come back in another couple of weeks' time for the next Guitar Smarts podcast. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.